want to talk about is that unfortunately, the biggest challenges haven't changed. So you need a development professional, but where do I start? Well, the things that you need to consider with that have not changed, and they're not going to change with the times. And that is looking at your budget. How much can you afford to pay a development professional? What are there going to be their areas of focus? What are your revenue goals? Your goals are going to change, but the fact that you need to consider what your revenue goals are is not going to change. The capacity that you have in the infrastructure for coaching, as we've been talking about. How strong are your systems? How strong is your CRM system? Do you have a CRM system? We hope so. How much staff support will this individual have? These are all the things that you need to take into consideration before even embarking on, as you're getting started on hiring this development professional. So a lot of times people will say, I don't even know where to start. This is where you start. Think about what you need, what you can afford, and how that all is going to fit together. The second is the importance to a candidate of a culture of philanthropy. And so candidates will be looking for a strong culture of philanthropy, primarily from the ED, CEO, and the board. This is a line that, as Thread, we put consistently in our position descriptions about a dedication to a culture of philanthropy. And this is something that candidates always call out as saying, I'm so glad that that's in there. They will want to see that development and fundraising are valued and integrated across the organization and not siloed. So how can you, as an ED of an organization, reinforce a culture of philanthropy? First, we recommend that you ensure hands-on education around your programming and that that's an integral part of the onboarding process. Ensure that regular meetings with your programmatic staff and your programmatic staff lead are going to be standard as a part of this job. This is important for not only, building trusting relationships among your leadership team or your team in general, but also ensures that your development staff can speak really well to the mission and the work of the organization. Lori and I both worked for an organization where we were, every person that was hired at this organization were required to actively participate on the programmatic side of it. And, it was a part of the job, and it just made us and our jobs in development so much easier because we really got it. We didn't have to guess, or we didn't have to just figure out what we could read from reading our own materials. We had lived it. So that's just such an important part of it. And the big piece is the board needs to understand that the investment in a development staff person does not mean that they are not expected to participate in fundraising in some way. So we've worked with a lot of boards who think that when the ED hires a development director, okay, this is great, they're going to do everything, make sure you get someone who is a certified fundraising professional, and we are not going to do anything. We'll just sit back and expect them to raise all this revenue for the organization. The hiring a development director is not going to eliminate the need for the board to be involved with development. And no development director wants to walk into that type of situation. And then finally, avoid the temptation to compromise on what you need for a candidate you like. And this is actually really hard, and it's kind of heartbreaking sometimes, because there's a difference between a strong mission-aligned candidate and one that will be most successful in this role. So we will often have our partners at Thread bring us candidates who come through their networks or their organization, and they are really great volunteers, or there's someone who is just so strongly mission-aligned, but they just don't have the experience necessary to be a strong candidate for this role. And it's someone who wants the job, and maybe their candidate pool is really shallow, as I like to say, and so they're like, can't we just make this work? Please avoid that temptation, because it's really not going to help your organization in the long term. If they don't have the skill set, you're going to spend your time on coaching. It's that kind of vicious cycle that we talked about.